Man, I didn't realize NASCAR fans could get any stupider. But they have. Apparently, the power rankings, new power rankings came out today. And of course, Bush's Legion of Goons are out to play. And the uneducated and ignorant fans that don't seem to get what power rankings mean are complaining. Because my boy Chase and his teammate Bowman are 1-2 in the power rankings that were released today. As I say again, some people are trying to think this is all based on overall performance of the season so far. But what they don't get, it's not based on how many wins the driver has, how many top 5s, top 10s, whatever. It is based on current performance from last week's race or the weeks prior to that. The power rankings change every single freaking week, and people claim Kyle Busch should just be permanently at the top every single week just because he's Kyle Busch, and everyone claims he's God, and when he's not. So, the last 3 weeks, Busch when I explain this to people, Busch has not been running up to his standard, of being winning races and being top 5, top 2 every single week where he wants to be. But it's that's not realistic, to be perfectly honest, to be running top 5 every single race and finish top 5 every single race. It's physically impossible. And as of late, Chase, I found this fact out today, a stat while listening to NASCAR radio, that in the last 4 races since Chase has scored the most points out of anybody in the Cup Series and has led the most laps within I'm talking about right now in the Chevy camp. He has led the most laps out of anyone in the Chevy department. Because in the last 3 weeks, he's won at Talladega. He had a top 5 finish at Dover. He would finish 4th or 5th or 4th, 5th, and then the next week he finished 4th at Kansas. So 3 straight weeks, a win, 2 more top 5s added on to that, and people were acting like it was a popularity contest, and it's of course he is. Why is a driver with 1 win this season on top, a driver with 1 win or no win at the top 2, while the drivers with 3 wins are below them? I'm one, because it's not based on overall season performance. If that was the case, Chase would not be number 1, would he? People just want to just place Busch at the top of the list every single week is because they think he's, again, like I say, God. And last Kansas, he finished 30th. That's his worst finish in 12 races. Up to this point, yeah, he's been super consistent. 3 wins, numerous top 5s, top 10s, but the last 3 weeks, he's kind of fell off just a little bit. I'm not saying he fell off the face of the earth, but he just his pace slowed down a little bit. This is not me bashing Busch. I'm just trying to be realistic here without going on a rant about how much I despise the guy. And the power rankings went Chase, Bowman, I believe Kyle Busch, and then Keselowski and Boyer. Those guys were below them. And people are like, why is Bush not number one? Why is Keselowski not number one or two or blah blah blah? They have the 3 wins and this and that. And I'm like, people just want to find they don't want to listen to logic. Some people just don't want to listen to logic and just want to comprehend what they want to comprehend. And when I make a comment saying, as of right now, Chase is at the top of the leaderboard, like when it comes to like performance along with his teammate, like what makes him number one in recent weeks is, I believe, based on his win at Talladega and 2 more top fives after that. He's won 2 stages, led the most laps in 2 of those 3 races, like race high, like, and out of everyone else, and has just been fast every single week and looking strong. And Bowman, the same way. Like, Bowman, 3 straight second place finishes. Not many people say they can do that, especially when you have no win in the Cup Series. I think Dave Lee said there was only like 13 to ever get 3 straight second place finishes, but these people already had like wins and stuff. But he's like Alex was the first in Cup history to have 3 straight top 10 finishes, top 2 finishes with that before getting their first win. So listen here, Brad fans and Kyle Busch fans and whatnot. The reason why your drivers are not at the top of the ranking is because, one, they haven't been as consistent as the front 2 currently. But Brad did win Kansas, but before that he didn't really contend. So yes, he has 3 wins this season. I get that, but this is not based on overall season performance. If that was the case, Busch and Keselowski and Busch would be like right there neck and neck for the top spot. That's not how it works. People just want to, like, the Chase haters and the Bowman haters. Yes, he has haters. Just want to find something to complain about because he's Mr. Popular, and currently right now he is the top Chevy driver. Like, I was listening on the NASCAR radio with Dave Moody, and they had a full hour talking about taking calls from people who they think is the top Chevy driver as of right now, and back and forth it was like either between Chase or Bowman, and a guy was talking about like when Chase was finishing second, all these times they're calling him choke. I'm like, he didn't choke. I hate that freaking word more than life itself, because he didn't choke. Because as a 20 to 21-year-old kid, or 22, you're not going to be like always contending for wins. But in Chase's case, he was up front almost every single week, being super consistent out of all the young drivers besides Larson. But he was, without wins, he was super consistent, like every single week. Some races over others, he performed amazing. That doesn't mean he choked or anything. He was just a young kid. Realized that you need to leave the expectations at the door when it comes to kids, like, not kids, like young adults who are like 20, 21 years old. You don't just expect them to go out and light the world on fire in the Cup Series. It's not happening that way. Yes, it took him almost 3 seasons to win a race, but he got it done. Now it looks like he's contending more and running up front more this season. The only reason they say that was because of his last name, and they just expected him just to light the world on fire, which just because he has a last name doesn't make him go any faster or any slower or whatever. He even said that. So he wasn't a choke. for the haters out there. And people are the guys said like, but when Bowman got like 3 second place finishes in a row, it's like they acted like he was like the second coming of God, not God, like like something about Kyle Busch, I don't even know, but making a big deal. I'm like, the reason they make a big deal out of Bowman getting those 3 top 2 finishes is because he came from basically nothing. Like he doesn't have a name behind him like some of these drivers do. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just trying to. He had driven with several part-time, like not part-time, like well, part-time like under budget like teams. The one who really gave him a great shot at like running well is Junior. Like Dale Jr. gave him a second chance, and that's what has led him to being a cup driver, like a full-time cup driver in top equipment. Because he filled in for Junior back when 2006 was it 2016? No, it's 2017. I lose track of my years. So because he filled in for Junior, shared like the 88 with Jeff Gordon, but he basically outran a legend, a Jeff Gordon. The majority of the time he was in that car, like an 88, and that's what propelled him into that ride full time. He is an underdog, and no one really sees him as like a contender or a threat, but he can be a contender and a threat once. Well, now that Chevy has kind of figured it out, they'll be like, and Hendrick is starting to get back into their swing of things a little bit. Once they get back into like full throttle, that Hendrick group is just gonna be flying. May not be this year, but it's gonna happen. They're gonna start getting way more consistent with their finishes, qualifying better. They've done that, but anyway, Bowman just is one of those people that you can't root against. I just don't understand why people do root against him because he's such a sweetheart. He's an excellent talent. And the last few weeks, I've absolutely enjoyed watching him race. It's been entertaining. He kept me on the edge of my seat at Dover, where he started from the back. Kept me on the edge of my seat at Talladega. If that caution didn't come out, I was like waiting for like, okay, what's he gonna do with his teammate at the checker flag? Like, who's gonna take it? Because Bowen didn't want to finish second that race, but the caution flew and ended that race. But Dover, he started from the back and and that's a tough track to work yourself through the field with. Started from the back with Truex, worked his way through the field, like bobbing, weaving, like using that top lane that no one really could get like a real grasp on, and he was the one who worked it way better than most drivers that day. So he went from the back to the front that race and finished second. Like he was just bobbing, weaving, and being aggressive. And this past week in Kansas, he was being more aggressive, like going toe to toe with Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, and like all these other drivers. And I'm like, damn, dude, get it. Like I root for that dude every single week. I live in Arizona. I'm not originally from here, but he is. So I'm root for the Arizona boy, the hometown boy, along with Chase, because as of right now, they're the 2 top Chevy drivers, literally right now. I know people say Kurt has more top 10s and stuff like that, but as of late, he's kind of fell off just a little bit. He has like 8 top 10s and 3 or 4 top 5s, which is great for Kurt. Like I root for Kurt. I root for every Chevy driver. Except people are like, so you didn't root for Larson? Like I'm not saying Larson. I'm just saying Chevy as a whole I am rooting for. If he wins, that's great. But as overall, I'm not a Larson fan. So, as I was saying, Kansas, we had 7 Chevys in the top 10, overpowering Ford, who had, 2? And then only 1 Toyota. So, back to Bowman. He's from Tucson, so it's not really that ritzy-ditzy area that you would think of when you think of Arizona. And apparently his dad owns like a car, like automotive shop or something like that. He works on cars. Like right now, he always posts about working on his chili bowl, like midget or car, whatever you want to call it. I'm not really an expert on those kind of race little cars, so if you know anything about that, comment what they are, like midgets, whatever. I don't even know. But he works on this car. He's like basically a car expert, and I feel like he's like super talented. I just can't wait to see what the future holds for this kid. Like, because I feel like he can win many races with just a little luck on his side. Like, I know it's not a bad thing to be like, but to finish top 2-3 straight weeks, but I get where he's coming from when he's like a little bit frustrated. Just if you're frustrated with a top 2 finish, like a second place finish, then you're doing something right. Like with Hendrick right now, they're like, Chase has not been satisfied with a top 5 finish, and that's a good thing to hear. So that means they're like, that whole team and organization is going in the right direction. They're making huge gains. They're working super hard, and people, like, there was a guy on NASCAR radio who's like, I'm not a Chevy fan whatsoever, and blah blah blah. And Dave Moody was talking about how the last quarter, like 25 years or so, like Chevy has been like the New England Patriots of NASCAR. Like, they would be kicking the living crap out of every single manufacturer, and now that they're kind of like on a little cool off, they're like on a cool off period, trying to rebuild. Those other manufacturers, fans or whatever, are like kind of happy that they're not as dominant. Chevys are not as dominant. And this guy was kind of being an asshole when talking about not being a Chevy fan and whatnot. I'm not saying everyone has to be a Chevy fan, but I'm just saying the way he came off was kind of being a little asshole. But anyway, I feel like we should, as a fan, no one should be glued to like one manufacturer. I'm like, yeah, Chevy dominated with NASCAR, but I root for Ford drivers. I root for Toyota drivers in each and every series of this sport. So, like in the truck series, I root for Toyota, like the KBM trucks, and then Xfinity series, I root for Junior Motorsports as a whole, and it's a Chevy dominated team. And in the Cup Series, I root for Ryan Blaney. I root for Penske as a whole, because I kind of started liking that team more. The more people hate them, the more I start liking them more. I've already been a fan of Blaney for a while. So Ford, I don't root for any Toyotas in the series, but Jones is okay, I guess. He's one of the young guys that I like the whole 4-1. But just because he's like part of JGR and that whole organization is kind of big babies, I can't bring myself to be a fan of his, but I do root for the younger guys, minus Suarez because he sucks. But anyway, and of course Hendrick as a whole. So power rankings, once again, is not based on overall season performance. It's based on the last week's performance and a couple weeks prior to that, like the current time frame, like the last 3 weeks is what they're like kind of looking at. But it's a weekly like judgment call and stuff like that. And Chase and Bowman have been leaps and bounds more consistent than Bush. But yes, Bush has been fast every week, but he's had like an issue at that issue at Kansas with his tire and stuff like that. And he just, I don't know. I'm not hating on the dude, but it's just he's been not running up to his own standard of wanting to be where he wants to finish and wanting to win every week, which is not realistic. So, but that's that. People need to start comprehending what they read and just take the facts as they are. And so enjoy your Wednesday. Happy hump day. It's my only day off until I leave for San Diego in just 1 week. So I have 6 more days of work, like 6 straight days of work. I'm going to grind it out, get those hours in before I go. Because I'm not going to have like a huge paycheck, like not this current, like the one coming up, but the one after that. It's not going to be very big because I'm taking that like 6 days, 5-6 days off. So I'm going to be working 14 hours in 3 days to make up for that time I'll be gone. So I don't know what my schedule looks like for the week after that, but hopefully it's a somewhat decent one. So work is going better and trying to get to the gym as much as possible. I was going to go today, but I'm just like not wanting to drive anymore. I picked up my dad today for the night, and he goes back to work tomorrow, and he'll be back sometime next week. But he basically won't be here. I won't be here when he gets here. My mom's in San Diego doing her time with friends and doing all her fun stuff. And we're currently still on baby watch. So anytime in the next week or so, we can have a new baby in our midst. So not from me, of course. My sister. So I am talked way too long. I like to ramble. I'm going on like almost like a half hour. So that's what I want to talk about. We head to Charlotte for the next 2 weeks for the All-Star race this weekend. I'll get to watch the All-Star Open in a little bit before the All-Star race starts, but I'll have to listen to that race while I'm at work. So I'm kind of excited because we have the same aero package going into Charlotte, and I feel like that's gonna be like really exciting. So I feel like it's gonna bode well for Bowman, considering how he's run at Talladega and Kansas last week. So sorry. So anyway, but I'm gonna get off and just relax and enjoy the rest of my day off because the next 2 days are gonna be long ones because I'm gonna be working about 6 to 7 hours for like 7 hours for the next 2 days. Well, not total, but 7 hours each day. So it's gonna be a busy one. So we'll see how that goes. And yes, I'm still enjoying my truck. So I still have yet to refill the gas tank because it's like just past going towards quarter of a tank. So, and I've had it for almost 2 weeks now. So I won't really have to fill it up until maybe this weekend and a little bit before I go to San Diego. So I'm going to have to get myself organized for that trip in between working. So get my cat all set up, ready to go while I'm gone. So again, hope everyone's having a good day. Stay safe, and let's get some all-star action going. And for voting, like we got like a few days left. Let's go vote for Bowman because I feel like he deserves it. Honestly, Bowman or Byron, I feel like they kind of deserve it. even though some people would be against it, but I don't care. Team Hendrick. Okay. I'm gonna look at this, so